And I'm not saying allegedly.
Oh. Okay.
I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston.
The Carter empire is crumbling under the weight of scandalous revelations, and this time, the whispers are deafening. For years, Beyonce and Jay-Z have reigned as the untouchable king and queen of music, the ultimate symbol of love and power. But now, Jonathan Hay, once a trusted publicist in Rihanna's early career, has dropped a bombshell so incendiary that the internet is barely keeping up. Hay claims he personally witnessed Jay-Z's so-called down-low activities and insists he doesn't even need to say allegedly because his knowledge comes from first-hand encounters. We are not talking about vague gossip or blind items whispered in smoky clubs. We are talking about someone who was in the rooms, saw what was happening, and is now pulling the curtain back on what he says is a carefully guarded secret life.
Beyonce for sure. I love her. I love Beyonce. Jay-Z too, I really admire the both of them.
The revelations strike at the heart of the Carter brand. Jay-Z, the hustler turned mogul who built an empire on bravado, now being painted as a man with a double life. Beyonce, the untouchable goddess of stage and screen, being exposed as more than just a supportive wife, but, according to Hay, a woman concealing her own truth. The allegations insist that Beyonce herself is a secret lover of women, and that her union with Jay-Z is not a fairy tale, but a calculated arrangement. A lavender marriage, constructed with meticulous care, designed to shield them both from scrutiny while doubling their star power as the perfect couple. If true, this revelation flips the entire narrative on its head. The Carter romance, worshipped by millions, reduced to a business contract draped in diamonds and Grammy Awards. Fans are reeling. The Beehive, known for their militant defense of Beyonce, has been left stunned into uneasy silence. The Rihanna Navy, ever ready to defend their Caribbean queen, can barely believe their ears. Two armies of fans who have sparred online for years are suddenly realizing the feud may not have been about awards or album sales at all, but about something far more intimate. If Beyonce's marriage was only a public shield, what does that mean for the late-night rumors, the lyrics, the Instagram perfect family portraits? Every detail, from the elevator fight with Solange to the cryptic tracks on Lemonade, suddenly feels like a puzzle piece sliding into place in a much darker picture.
Jay-Z got his whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name?
Right.
Solange. You got it. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your whooped.
And then comes the most salacious twist yet. According to the claims, Jay-Z didn't just accept his wife's private indulgences, he allegedly watched them. The name tied to this rumor? None other than Ray J, the man forever linked to another Hollywood scandal involving Kim Kardashian. The whispers suggest that Jay-Z stood by while his wife entertained others, that the glossy fortress of the Carter household was not just cracking but crumbling under voyeuristic arrangements and private humiliations. It is a picture of power warped into obsession, of intimacy twisted into spectacle, and it leaves us wondering just how much of what we thought we knew was ever real. The marriage itself now looks like a grand illusion, polished to perfection for cameras but built on secrecy behind closed doors. Hollywood has seen this play before. Lavender unions have long been whispered about in old studio contracts, carefully maintained to protect brands. But to apply that script to Beyonce and Jay-Z, the most carefully curated couple in modern music, is a betrayal that cuts deep. Fans who worshipped their anniversary tributes and gushed over Blue Ivy's award show appearances are now being asked to confront the possibility that it was all theater, a long-running performance where love was never the main act.
Yes.
Beyonce.
Gorgeous, a stab to my self-esteem.
And, just when the dust seems too thick to breathe, Rihanna's name bursts back into the story. The connection between Jay-Z and Rihanna has always been clouded with suggestion. He discovered her, signed her, championed her career when she was just a teenager from Barbados. Industry insiders have long hinted that his mentorship crossed into murkier territory, fueling suspicions that Beyonce's side-eye toward Rihanna was not just diva competitiveness, but genuine fear of being replaced. We have seen the awkward photographs at title press conferences, where handlers scrambled to keep the women apart. We have seen the Grammy shade, the subtle digs, the silence between two of the biggest female stars on Earth. The feud has always been framed as business rivalry, but Hayes' revelations make it sound like something far more personal. Because if Jay-Z was straying, if Beyonce knew, and if Rihanna was caught in the middle of it all, then what we have is not just a fractured marriage, but a triangle of betrayal that has been playing out in front of our eyes for for nearly 2 decades. Imagine the pressure of standing on a stage with someone who might have been entangled with your husband, posing for cameras while boiling with secrets. Imagine watching an artist your husband discovered become one of the most powerful women in the world, knowing the whispers that followed her rise were always tied to your private life. Beyoncé and Rihanna may smile for the flashbulbs, but reports of them refusing to stand together backstage tell the real story. And if Hay is to be believed, the feud wasn't just about awards. It was about survival in a game where love, loyalty, and empire were all on the line.
Holding down with the lovely Aaliyah. What's going on, Aaliyah?
What's up? How you doing? I'm
It's been a
good.
minute.
Been a while, sure has.
The whispers around Jay-Z's involvement with Rihanna have surfaced before, often dismissed as rumor. But now, tied to the shocking claim that his marriage itself is a facade, those whispers roar back with new weight. Did Rihanna's closeness to Jay-Z ignite Beyoncé's legendary insecurities? Was their feud not just professional rivalry, but the fallout of private entanglements too sensitive to ever be spoken of openly? When Beyoncé was allegedly overheard screaming at Jay in a Los Angeles restaurant, using Rihanna's name as the dagger, was that the slip that revealed the truth? Suddenly, those fleeting moments of tension no longer feel like gossip, they feel like cracks in a fortress built to hide the mess inside. And that is where we find ourselves now, staring at an empire that once seemed unshakable, now shaking violently under the weight of claims too outrageous to ignore. Jay-Z's alleged secret life, Beyoncé's alleged private desires, and Rihanna caught somewhere in the middle. This isn't just a love triangle, it's a betrayal triangle, one with layers of loyalty, lies, and ambition stretching back nearly 20 years. And as we peel back these layers, we can't help but wonder what other truths are still lurking in the shadows, waiting to be exposed.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce.
But as we trace the fractures in the Carter image, one name continues to resurface like a ghost that refuses to stay buried: Cathy White. Once known in industry circles as a savvy publicist and socialite, Cathy became entangled in Jay-Z's orbit in ways that gossip blogs could never quite pin down. She was whispered about as his confidant, his alleged mistress, the woman he couldn't stay away from. Then, suddenly, at just 28 years old, she was gone. The official story pointed to a medical tragedy, but the timing raised eyebrows across the industry. Her passing came only days after Beyoncé announced her first pregnancy to the world, a carefully choreographed reveal that stole global headlines. Was it coincidence? Or something far darker? According to those close to her, Cathy had recently confided that she was preparing to tell her story. Some even insist she had reached out to tabloids, dangling the possibility of exposing her connection with Jay-Z for a price. If that's true, then her sudden disappearance from the stage of life feels less like a twist of fate and more like the curtain being yanked down on someone who knew too much. Friends recalled her as vibrant, ambitious, unwilling to stay silent forever. To hear of her collapse, just as Beyoncé's pregnancy news dominated global coverage, was a shock too uncanny for some to accept. It was as if one narrative had to make room for another, the public celebration smothering the private scandal.
Sweetest person you can know, very intelligent. She knew what she was about and she knew what she wanted to do with her life.
The whispers have never stopped. Industry insiders mutter about an untimely exit that felt too convenient. Bloggers point to the strange detail that Cathy's passing came exactly 1 year to the day after the first reports linking her romantically to Jay-Z surfaced. That eerie anniversary has become fuel for countless conspiracy threads, each one arguing that Cathy's story was a race to protect the crown jewels of the Carter empire. Even more unsettling, one insider alleged Cathy herself had phoned Jay shortly before her collapse, threatening to go public unless she was compensated. Was this just gossip, or was Cathy silenced before she could expose one of the most carefully hidden affairs in music history? We cannot ignore the context. Beyoncé and Jay-Z had staked everything on the image of their growing family. A pregnancy, a baby, the perfect expansion of their fairy tale narrative. It was the ultimate redemption arc after earlier rumors of infidelity. But what happens when another woman threatens to crack that script wide open? Could the passing of Cathy White have been the final cleanup operation in a series of cover-ups designed to protect the dynasty? The official reports may say otherwise, but when a young woman vanishes under such suspicious timing, questions inevitably multiply. Even those who believe it was nothing more than a tragic coincidence admit that the optics are chilling.
I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people.
What makes the story even more unsettling is Beyoncé's enduring silence through all of it. For years, she has built her image as a woman of few words, letting her music and carefully curated visuals speak louder than interviews ever could. But when the world buzzed about Cathy White, when blogs screamed about Jay-Z's alleged betrayals, when whispers about a lavender marriage gained traction, Beyoncé never addressed it. This refusal to speak has led some to wonder if her silence is a form of power, or if it is evidence that she is trapped inside a machine bigger than herself, one that dictates every move she makes. In an era where celebrities clap back at rumors instantly, Beyoncé's decision to remain a fortress feels deliberate, even strategic. There's a psychological twist here. On one hand, Beyoncé could be seen as the victim, forced to swallow betrayal after betrayal in order to keep her family and brand intact. She may have decided that silence was the only way to shield herself from further humiliation, choosing dignity over public mudslinging. But on the other hand, her silence may not be weakness at all. It may be the sharpest weapon in her arsenal, a way of keeping control by refusing to give any rumor oxygen. This duality, victim or strategist, creates a mystery that fans and critics alike can't stop debating.
No, that was it. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth.
Behind the glittering stage lights and sold-out tours, Beyoncé is also a billionaire businesswoman, with contracts, endorsements, and a global reputation to protect. Every public statement, every acknowledgement of scandal could ripple through that empire and cost millions of dollars in revenue. The silence may be less about personal pain and more about corporate strategy, the calculated choice of someone who knows the stakes are too high to ever show weakness. It's the kind of discipline we've seen in politicians and royals, not pop stars, which is why Beyoncé's behavior feels more like governance than mere celebrity. Some insiders argue that this silence isn't entirely her choice. They suggest a larger machine, the management teams, the handlers, the label executives, may be dictating her responses or lack thereof. To break that silence would be to break the illusion they've worked decades to maintain. If true, then Beyoncé isn't the queen of her own empire so much as she is its prisoner, forced to uphold a script that no longer fits her private reality. The question then becomes, is she quietly complicit in protecting Jay-Z's alleged double life? Or is she enduring it with clenched teeth because she sees no way out?
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious.
The most unnerving possibility of all is that Beyoncé is not only aware of every rumor, but also actively participates in keeping them under wraps. If her marriage is indeed a facade, then her silence is the most important act of performance art of her career. She would not just be a victim of deception, but a co-author of it, crafting a glittering lie that millions have bought into. Whether that makes her manipulative or merely pragmatic depends on how we choose to see her. But one thing is certain. Beyoncé's silence is not empty. It is loaded, purposeful, and perhaps the most telling clue of all. This is where the narrative becomes almost cinematic. Imagine the weight of a billion-dollar empire hinging on silence, on making sure that one woman's voice was never heard. We've seen these patterns in Hollywood before. Scandals buried, stories rewritten, reputations scrubbed clean with surgical precision. But with Cathy White, the threads never fully disappeared. To this day, her name resurfaces. Whenever cracks in the Carter marriage make headlines, she has become the phantom at the feast, the reminder that behind the perfection of the family portraits lies a labyrinth of secrets that may never be fully revealed.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
And yet Cathy's story is only one piece of the puzzle, because while Beyoncé and Jay-Z tightened their grip on the narrative, another figure was biding her time, perhaps plotting her own revenge: Rihanna. The protege discovered by Jay-Z, the rising star who turned into a global mogul, and the woman forever shadowed by speculation of tension with Beyoncé. From the moment she entered the Def Jam offices as a teenager, Rihanna's career was tied to Jay-Z's choice. But that connection may have come at a price, leaving her caught in a storm between power, desire, and loyalty. Was Rihanna simply collateral damage in the Carter machine, or has she been quietly preparing her counterattack? We already know the tension between Beyoncé and Rihanna has flared in public before. Reports of them keeping their distance at events, whisperings of sharp words behind closed doors, and that infamous moment when Beyoncé allegedly shouted Rihanna's name in anger at Jay. But what if those flashes were just the tip of the iceberg? Some industry insiders now speculate that Rihanna has been gathering her own arsenal of receipts for years, from private recordings to unseen photos, even whispers of a tell-all book. The possibility of Rihanna blowing the lid off everything has become one of the most tantalizing prospects in the industry. After all, who better than Rihanna, the woman Jay-Z built up the rival Beyoncé could never quite embrace, to shatter the Carter image once and for all?
I don't have no felonies, I'm not crazy or none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts, and seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, you know, I don't want to see him go down for something that you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
Think about it. Rihanna has nothing to lose and everything to gain. She has already conquered music, fashion, beauty, and now motherhood. Her empire stands independent of Jay-Z, no longer reliant on Roc Nation's backing. That makes her dangerous, unpredictable, and entirely capable of turning the tables on the power couple who once controlled her narrative. Imagine a documentary filled with the raw truth of what she witnessed, or a memoir that names names and forces fans to reckon with the messy reality behind the glossy magazine spreads. Such a move could send shockwaves through not just the music industry, but the entire cultural landscape. The timing would be almost poetic. As Jay-Z faces mounting controversy through his ties to Diddy and new legal storms, Beyoncé prepares for her next comeback moment, trying to keep the brand alive. Meanwhile, Rihanna holds the kind of cultural leverage that could topple them with a single revelation. The idea of her playing the long game, waiting for the right moment to strike, is both thrilling and terrifying. And it adds yet another layer of suspense to a saga already brimming with unanswered questions.
I would hope he would think about it and this would be in his mind, but I wouldn't actually know what another person is feeling.
Which brings us to the ultimate cliffhanger. Is this the beginning of the end for Jay-Z and Beyoncé? With whispers of hidden lovers, suspicious tragedies, and rivals waiting in the wings, the empire they have built looks more fragile than ever before. How long can the Carter dynasty keep the truth hidden before the facade finally collapses? Tell us what you think. Are we watching history's most glamorous power couple unravel in real time? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and remember, sometimes the glitter hides the darkest secrets.